Okay, so we're going to start the South America unit, and it's going to be formatted very similar to the North America unit. I'm going to label the countries. We're going to talk about the capitals. We'll talk about physical features, major physical features of South America. We will talk about the population density, the languages and religions of South America, and then you'll be doing a project. Okay, so label as many countries as you can on the first page that I gave you yesterday. Pause the video and do this activity. All right, so now we're going to go through these, and they might not be in the same order as on your packet, but the countries in the northwest that's connected to Central America, specifically Panama, is Colombia. And then at the very north side of South America is Venezuela. And then we have Guyana. Suriname is that little one in the middle there, the bluish colored one. French Guiana is on the far right or east side of those three smaller countries. French Guiana technically isn't independent. Obviously, it's controlled by France. Off to the west coast, you have Ecuador, which is Spanish for equator. South of that, you have Peru. In the middle, you have the only landlocked country in South America, that is Bolivia, named after Simón Bolívar, who helped many of these countries gain their independence. Then we have the big country of Brazil. We have Paraguay, Chile on the far west side, Argentina in the southern portion, and the small one on the southeast coast is Uruguay. All right, capitals. You can flip the page over. There's a capitals practice quiz that you can do to study for the test. So you can do that using a link that you can review this. But on your notes, the capital of Argentina is Buenos Aires. B-U-E-N-O-S, new word A-I-R-E-S, meaning good air. Bolivia in the middle there has two capitals. One is a judicial capital and one is an administrative capital. La Paz, L-A, new word P-A-Z, and the other capital is Sucre, S-U-C-R-E. Capital of Brazil is Brasilia, B-R-A-S-I-L-I-A. Chile's capital is Santiago, S-A-N-T-I-A-G-O. Colombia's capital is Bogota, B-O-G-O-T-A with an accent. Ecuador, which we mentioned, means equator. Its capital is Quito, Q-U-I-T-O. French Guiana, which we said is not technically an independent country, but it does have a capital, even though it's an overseas department of France, and that's Cayenne, C-A-Y-E-N-N-E. Guyana's capital is Georgetown, G-E-O-R-G-E-T-O-W-N. Paraguay's capital is Asuncion, A-S-U-N-C-I-O with an accent, N. It means ascension, so it's kind of religious, like rising, like Jesus. Peru's capital is Lima, L-I-M-A, and it was a significant location early in history of South America. The west coast is where most of the early South Americans lived until the Spanish arrived, and then Lima became a significant city established by the Spaniards. Suriname, its capital is Paramaribo, P-A-R-A-M-A-R-I-B-O. Uruguay's capital is Montevideo, M-O-N-T-E-V-I-D-E-O. And Venezuela's capital is Caracas. All right, physical features. The physical features of South America are pretty prominent. You've got to the north of South America, you have the Caribbean Sea. Please label that. To the west of South America, you have the Pacific Ocean. Label it. And to the east, you have the Atlantic Ocean. Please label that. So those are the major bodies of water. The other two major bodies of water that I'm probably going to have, or three maybe, have you know. One is the Amazon river, and you can see that that is primarily in the northern part of Brazil, but it does go in some of those other countries, or its tributaries go into some of those other countries. And so that's significant river. Okay, it's the world's second largest or longest river, but it carries the most water. The other body of water is the only major lake, and that borders Peru and Bolivia, and that is Lake Titicaca. Titicaca. The other major body of water we'll talk about in just a little bit. All right, the southern land of South America is called Cape Horn, so you can label that at the south, Cape Horn. Along the western coast, you can see that brown area. Those are the major mountains of South America, and that is the that is the Andes Mountains, Andes mountains, and they're very young, which means they are very rugged, very sharp. They just haven't been eroded down and worn down over time. The Guyana Highlands are in northern Brazil. They border Venezuela, Guyana, Suriname, and French Guiana. So that is the Guyana Highlands, Guiana Highlands. And then you have the Brazilian Highlands, which are on the east coast of Brazil. Argentina is primarily that green area there. You can kind of see it on this map, are the Pampas. Pampas, and then you have the Patagonia region, that brown region south of in the southern part of Argentina. Patagonia, Patagonia. Those are just regions of South America. The Pampas are like the plains. The Patagonia is a little bit drier area, a little bit cooler because it's southern and it's, closer to the South Pole, so it's going to be a little bit colder because of that. It's also a little bit more mountainous, so it's going to be higher elevation, so that's going to make it a little bit cooler. And then on the west coast, along the coast of Chile there, is the Atacama Desert, Atacama, the Atacama Desert. And so those are the major physical features. The other one I want you to label is the Strait of Magellan, and technically that is through this little area right here that you can kind of see the waterway in between all of these little islands. The Strait of Magellan is of course named after the explorer Ferdinand Magellan, who was sailing for Portugal, and in 1521 he started sailing. And all right, so Strait of Magellan, named after Ferdinand Magellan, who sailed. Again, he was actually looking for the Spice Islands in Indonesia for clover. Sailing, he actually crossed, the ocean in 99 days, which is a huge accomplishment at this point. But once he got through this treacherous strait, he got to this calm water, and Latin word Pacificus, meaning tranquil, is how the Pacific Ocean got its name. So he gets credited by naming the Pacific Ocean. Again, from October to March is when they sailed. All right, population density. So we'll see maps like this for every single unit. The darker the region, the more people. So coasts tend to have more population, and you can see that along Brazil, you can see that in Chile, you can see that in Peru, Ecuador, Colombia, and Venezuela, and those are probably the most populated countries as far as density, not necessarily plain numbers. And you can see along the Amazon, not very many people. It's difficult to live in a rainforest, it's hard. And then you've got deserts and the Patagonia region of Argentina in the southern part, where again, not as many people because it's colder and mountainous. Religion, almost all is red, which is Catholicism. So, they are mostly Catholic because of the colonization of the Europeans. And there is blue, which would be Protestant. So that area in the north, Guyana, part of Suriname, is going to be Protestant, so that just means non-Catholic. The brown region is other regions, and those will tend to be tribal, religious, because of they live in this rainforest and they don't really practice an organized religion. Languages, almost all is Spanish because of the Spanish colonization and controlling most of South America. The Portuguese, however, controlled Brazil or Portugal, so they speak Portuguese. Guyana is English. The middle one there, Suriname, is Dutch. And then the blue one is French Guiana, and of course they speak French. And tomorrow or Monday, whatever the next day is, we are going to select a project. Remember, it can't be the same topic or style of a project that you did for the North America unit. So you will do that. You'll have a couple days to submit that, and then you will present it as well.